Okay, here let me start the application. Here on this window I have three columns in which in the first column I have a text block. On the second column I have a text box, and on the third column I have a rich text box. This is a WPF application, as you can just letting you know that. So what I am trying to do here is after I select a portion of text from the rich text box, I want to create it as a hyperlink. So that is what I am trying to achieve here for my client. Okay, now how this is done, I'm going to show this in this video. So let me close this application window. Right now I have in this as you can see here, in the main window loaded event handler, it is adding two paragraphs like this. As you can see here, one paragraph stating that hi, I am Karim Sultan, and the second one having that, and this is a rich text box text. Now, as I previously said, I want to select some of the text or entire text and create it as a hyperlink or a URL. So let's get started. So again, I have to show you there is a button as you can see here, which creates a hyperlinks on the selected text from the rich text box. So for this button I have given a event handler here, through which I am going to create hyperlink on a selected text. So for this I'm going to use a selection property from the rich text box. So let me access that. Before I get started here, I also want to view what is the text, what part of the text is selected through the output window. As you guys know, we can use the debug class static methods to print out output here. So for that I'm going to declare a string field like selected text. I'm going to get my selected text from the selection property of rich text box. So as you can here, I named the rich text box as a rich text box with a small letter at the first as a first letter. Now I want to print this in an output window, so I'm going to use the write line. Since I have declared static declaration for debug, I can access it directly without using the debug class. So write line selected text. So I want to check this now. So I'm going to select this line, and when I click this button, it shows which part of the text is selected. So right now it is selected, the previously I selected this line, so this is working so far right now also. So to achieve this, we need two text two fields or two objects. For example, let me explain this. So okay, let me have this right now. I will create a hyperlink object right now. So To create hyperlinks in a text block, text block, and also rich text box. I don't know about how to create hyperlinks within a text box as identifiable items or elements, right? Like a text block. As you can see here, the text block, we can identify the text, which part of the text is a hyperlink. But I don't know how to do that in a text box, but I have information. I know that we can achieve this through rich text box as a rich text block. So we need to use a hyperlink object to create hyperlinks within both text block and rich text box. So let me create a hyperlink object. So as you can see, I scroll through the parameters, the overload of the constructor of a hyperlink object. It accepts start and end of the selection. The part of the text it needs to create. It can create as a hyperlink. We can feed the start and end of the text, which we can create as a hyperlink. So luckily fortunately we can get the start and end of the selected text from the selection property. So we can like rich text box through the selection property. We have the start, and we also have the end. So we can feed these objects from the selection. The selection property represents the selected text in the rich text box. So the start will represent the start of the selection, and the end will represent the end of the selection. So we both feed these items into the hyperlink constructor. So I will restart the application. So far I have given so far it will create hyperlink, I know that. So I'm selecting the rich text box word, and I'm clicking this hyperlink. As you can see here, it is created the selected rich text box as a hyperlink. So far so good. Now again after after it creates the selected text as a hyperlink, we need to navigate to a particular website, to a particular page. So for that we have to define a URL for this hyperlink. We can do this through the through the navigate URI of navigate URI property of the hyperlink object. So hyperlink, I think navigate. This accepts this takes a URI object. So it is not a string. It will not take the string object, a string type value. It takes a URI type object, new URI. Now here in the constructor we can define a URL as a string object, as a string value. So I'm going to do that. For this demo, I'm using this URL from the Microsoft documentation of rich text box class. Copy, paste it here. I'm renaming this done. Okay, what is next? So when it creates a hyperlink on a selected text, it will automatically assign this URL to this hyperlink. So we need when that so we need another item, so it has to navigate. Okay, here after creating a hyperlink on the selected text, we need to navigate the URL. We need to navigate to the website or web page that was assigned to this hyperlink through a web browser. So for that we have to define a click event handler. So like user need to perform an action so that the code can so that the code can navigate to that website through using the default web browser of the computer of the system. So how we can do that? We have to define a event handler for navigate your request navigate on hyperlink object. I already defined a event handler for this, so paste I'm going to use the same event handler. So when user clicks on the hyperlink, the newly created hyperlink, it will invoke this event handler and start and navigate to the URL. So it is basically same as hyperlinks in the websites, web pages, something like that. It is very much similar to that. I'm just creating it inside a Windows application, Windows desktop application. So in this event handler, when a user clicks on the hyperlink, the the hyperlink will invokes this event handler. In this event handler, I have to create a process. I have to start a process. We don't have to do a lot of fancy stuff like looking into the default web browser that has been set in our Windows operating system. We don't have to do anything that. We just need to create a process object, define two or three properties then we will simply start the process and the Windows subsystem will automatically start the browser. Automatically will navigate to the website in the default web browser. So for that I'm going to create. First I need to cast the sender object, since this is the result of click event of the hyperlink. We can cast the sender object as a hyperlink object. Okay, now if sender is hyperlink type object, then hyperlink. Now as in this in the above code, in this event handler, in this button event handler, I assigned the URL to the navigate URI. We can access the URL, the assigned URL from the navigate URI from here. So hyperlink, let me create a process object. New process. We are not defining any kind of parameters or arguments to the process object. So I'm going to use the start info property of process object to to give it some more details, how it has to start, how it has to navigate to the URL process. Next, process. I'm going to use the start info, use shell execute. As you can see here, the description of this user shell execute property, indicating that whether to use operating system shell to start the process. So we definitely have to set this property to true in order to navigate to the URL or to the website or to the web page using the default web browser that has been set in our operating system. So I'm going to set it to true. Next, we have to set the file name. For the file name, I'm going to assign the URL as it is, without assigning it any browser information, browser application information. I'm just setting the URL as it is, using the navigate URI from hyperlink object. So next is process, using the same start info, file name. Now hyperlink, navigate URI. Since it is a URI object, it is of type of URI class, I'm going to use this toString overload method. That's it. So far so good. These are the two properties, the main properties we need to set on the process object. Next, I'm just going to start the process. So let's see how this will work. I'm going to select rich text box and creating hyperlink. So it is created a hyperlink on the rich text box word. So when I click this hyperlink using while pressing the control key from my keyboard, it has to open web browser, the default web browser, and navigate to this page in a new tab, not in this new tab, a separate tab. It has to open a separate tab. So I'm clicking I'm pressing the control key from my keyboard and clicking it. That's it. It is successfully navigating to the URL that has been defined in the creation of the hyperlink. So I can test another URL here. I have a different URL here, which is a microsoft.com URL. I'm copying it. I'm replacing the existing URL with the new one. Paste. I have to restart the application. Again, I'm creating a hyperlink. This time I have defined a new URL, so it has to open this Microsoft web page in a new window. Let me click this. It is working. So this way you can create hyperlinks, dynamic hyperlinks on a selected text within rich text box. So I can also create hyperlink on my name, and it will still navigate. It will work. It will still navigate to the defined URL. You can define different types based on. You can give a pop-up window through which user can use that pop-up window to enter display name for the hyperlink and the URL. It's much similar to the websites like Wix, where you can insert Wix or WordPress, where you can insert hyperlinks, for inserting hyperlinks using it pop-ups, like you enter a text, a display text, an alternate text, and a URL, which eventually creates hyperlink within your blog posts or websites. So it is very similar to that scenarios. So I hope this helps someone, and thank you for watching.